Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock. Time to get started. See, there are a few people that are missing today. Probably only half the people who signed up have actually arrived at this time. Anyway, we're going to carry on from where we left off last week. If you remember, last week was part 1, and we covered quite a lot of ground in terms of the basics of getting our financial statements prepared using AuditMate. Right, let's get to where we were last week. We had done the trial balance, imported it from Pastel, and we were busy in the financial statements. And we had got to the notes. So let's just have a little look back in the financials here, see where we were. If you recall, when you want to choose which, let's just take one step back again. When we start preparing the financial statements, the first thing that we do is we choose which pages we want to have displayed. And we do that from the add-ins menu, from layout, annual financial statements. And here we choose which pages are going to be switched on and which pages are going to be switched off. So in this case, we were looking at maybe an audit, so we wouldn't bother with the accounting officer's report or the reviewer's report. We'll leave the audit report in, director's report, balance sheet, etc., etc. We update that, and those pages that we unticked will disappear. We go and have a look at our balance sheet. You'll notice all the blue lines. Okay, we're working in revealed mode. Up here at the top, it says revealed mode. Now this is the mode that we work in until just before we're ready to actually print the financial statements. Then we change into hidden mode. When we change to hidden mode, all the blue lines and the blue columns are hidden. And we can then do our final adjustments before we actually print the financial statements. So let's work in revealed mode all the time. Remember, one of the rules, we don't delete rows, we just mark them as hidden. So let's have a look at our balance sheet, just see if it balances. Okay, we've got a formula down at the bottom here. If it's out of balance, it will tell us it's out of balance. Okay, usually if it's out of balance, the first thing we do is we go to the detailed income statement and we click on regenerate, and then regenerate button again, and that will then build the detailed income statement. Just a reminder, all that regenerate does is build the detailed income statement, nothing else. Okay, let's have a little look at this detailed income statement before we get to the notes. And in our detailed income statement, you'll notice on this particular trial balance, here we had this section with all the repairs and maintenance. We have 4 repairs and maintenance accounts, and they're all itemized. Now, it often happens that one would rather have a summarized version of that. So just a one-liner, repairs and maintenance. How do we do that? Well, we do that inside AuditMate. So we go back into AuditMate. On the Accounts tab, we have a button called Reporting. Okay, on the HelpMate tab, if we go back to the HelpMate tab, we move along too far. We also have a button called Reporting. It's the same button. Okay, we'll click on that, and we'll see this is where we group accounts and where we change the report description that's going to display in the detailed income statement. So let's run down this list a little bit to find those repairs and maintenance accounts. Here they are. Okay, so there's 4 repairs and maintenance accounts. We would like to group them together. So we choose one of the accounts that we would like to group it to. Let's take the first one as an example. And we can type into this section under report description exactly what we would like it to say. All right. Then we take each one of these accounts, we double click here, choose from the drop down, and go and find that account that we want to group it to. So we've got it repairs and maintenance. There we go, that account. So this account that's highlighted now will be grouped to that account 4350/010, which is the account above it. We want to do the same thing with the next item. So we double click, run down, and find that account, select it. But we made it even easier for you. We also added a repeat group button. So on the left hand side here, you can click repeat group, and what that will do is it will repeat the grouping that you last chose onto the account that's highlighted. So I click it once, it will repeat the group, and it will move to the next row. Okay, let's see what this has done in terms of the detailed income statement. So we'll close this window down, and we will go back to the Excel financials. Okay, we open the Excel financials, and they look just the same. Okay, remember, we have those intermediate files, and we have to either click on recalc, well, usually we click on recalc formulas here, which we'll do now. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have it all now on one line. And the other 3 lines are now blued out, so those won't print. If I click on regenerate, then those lines won't even appear. So what we've achieved is we've grouped 4 accounts into one account. And the name that came through, repairs and maintenance, that was what we had on the report description. Okay, if you guys have got questions as we go along, just type your questions in the question box. You remember from last week, the questions will appear on my other monitor and I can try and answer those. Okay, that should all be clear. Right. Just coming back to the report groupings, let's just have a look. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention here. Often a trial balance that we get from Pastel might all be in capital letters. So the account names all are in capital letters. So let's take, for example, this would have been spelled like that. And all the other ones. Now, when the detailed income statement is built, the account name is used, and let's just do this quickly. You'll see, okay, we don't actually work to that sales account. Let's go to this one here. Let's go. And I just want to recalc formula here, and it will come out in capital letters. Now that capital letters is not what, it doesn't look nice. We don't want that. So we have an option in here that is, it says tick all use. Now, I don't know how we ended up with that description. Maybe we'll change it sometime. But if I click on that button, what it will do is in the report description, it will convert the names of all the accounts into small letters, just capitalized at the beginning. All right, and then that is just a way to convert from a trial balance that is all in caps into a trial balance that is not all in caps. Usually it will be okay. There'll be a few things that maybe need to be tweaked. For example, if the COS hardware was coming out, we'd probably want to go in there and go and change that. something like that. But you can do that. So the tick all use is just a quick way to convert from capitals into smalls. Right, let's get back to our financials. Okay, we said we're going to look at the notes now, so let's get onto the notes page. Now, as with layout annual financial statements where we choose the pages we want to work in, when we get to the notes, we choose layout current sheet. And what that does, it will list all the notes that we've created in the notes tab. And this is where you switch them on and off. And as you switch them on and off, all the note numbering is handled automatically for you. So if your note numbering is out, it's because it wasn't switched off or switched on correctly using this layout current sheet. Okay, as we look at this, you'll notice that we have two columns. Okay, the one column is the this year column, and the other one is the last year column. And generally speaking, we have the numbers that are associated with those notes appearing so that you can tell at a glance which ones need to be switched on and off. And obviously it's all optional, but it just helps you in that process. So in this particular client that we're looking at, we do have some inventories. So we can see that there's a figure there, 62,580. And we know then we must have that note for inventory switched on. Now the first section of notes is all the accounting policy notes. Right, and as we move down, we then get into the starting a property, plant and equipment, we get into the actual body of the notes. So the first section are all the accounting policy notes. So we've ticked some on there, and let's run through and see if there are any others that we need to adjust. Make sure that inventories is ticked, trade and other receivables. Okay, bank and cash has a balance. Let's tick it on and see if we need it when we get to it just now. Trade and other payables, let's switch those on. And that looks fine. And when I click the update, then all those notes are now updated. The ones that are unticked get hidden, and the ones that are ticked will be visible. Now, each note belongs in what we call a section. So let me just go down to the section on inventories, for example. Okay, so I'll just put my cursor in that section. And if I look up at this add-in here, I've got this change sections, edit current section. Now this is a more advanced topic, and it may be something that you need to look at some stage. But just so that you know that each section, now it's highlighted for us, okay, and there are various properties of that section. For example, here it's telling us that that note is number 6, and you can see it's a number 6 there. And there are various things like the range of the section, which cells it covers, which lead schedule it's related to, etc. Okay, so these sections exist in the notes, and this is how the note numbering is handled, and this is how those sections are switched on or off, hidden or unhidden. Now, in an AuditMate AFS, you should never be using the hide and unhide function, or everything should be unhidden. You should never use the normal Excel hide function. Because something then can disappear that AuditMate doesn't know about. And when it goes into revealed mode, it's not going to unhide that thing. It's going to be left hidden somewhere. So we don't use the Excel hide function. We use the light blue lines and the dark blue lines. Right, let's go to our balance sheet. And you'll notice on our balance sheet that we have the note numbers. Now all those numbers are automatic. We see inventories there, it's note 6, like we saw just now. Okay, property, plant and equipment, note 5. Now all these blue, they're in blue because they are hyperlinks. If I click on that item, it's going to jump to note 5. If I click on the 5 there, it's going to jump back to the balance sheet. So the hyperlinks are there to facilitate navigation and moving around in the financial statements nice and quickly. Okay, let's go to note 5. Now, in the property, plant and equipment, these numbers should all pull through automatically, except for where we have additions and disposals during the same year, because the split between additions and disposals is not evident in your trial balance. There's no account in your trial balance that you can pick up that number from. So there you have to do a manual entry in this. If there were disposals, you might put in there minus 30,000. Whatever, you look on your fixed asset schedule and you should see. And then the additions will adjust accordingly. Okay, if you notice that, you delete that. So we had, these are basically the net additions. And if we have a disposal, then it's going to adjust itself accordingly. But that disposal figure you need to pick up from your fixed asset schedule. Now, if this didn't balance, this cell over here would tell us what the difference was. Remember, we've got these blue lines on just about every note, and it will tell us if the details that are in the notes don't agree to the details that's coming out on the balance sheet. Okay, so inventories does tie up automatically. Remember, these figures came from the leads. So if we allocated our account to the correct sub-schedule or sub-lead, then that's going to come out on here. Let's go down and find a note where it doesn't tie up. There we go. Cash and bank equivalents. Okay, it's telling us that it's different. It's out of balance. If we click on 8 and go to the balance sheet, we can see there's our balance, 99,154. Let's go back to note 8. And the reason it doesn't balance is because we haven't built the detail of this note. This particular note is wanting details where it's linked to an account and not to just a lead balance. So let's build the detail on this note. And we would do that using or creating audit-mate linking formulas. Now we've made it easy for you by including those on the add-in. So if we go to the add-in and we click on insert, then we can see, now do we want to insert a formula that's for accounts, leads, company information, etc. We're going to deal with accounts right now. So we'll click on accounts and up will pop a list of all the accounts. Right, we'll select the cell that we want to put the linking formula into. Then we'll run down the list and find the amounts that we're looking for. Now, okay, in the note we've got petty cash, current account, funds on call. We might not even have those accounts in our balance sheet. Let's see what we do have. Okay, we only have this one account, standard bank account. Okay, that would actually should go into the current account. Okay, so we'll click on the cell that is for the current account. We highlight the account and the accounts list that we're looking for. And then we have these buttons, plus minus and plus minus. One is in the current year, one is for the prior year. Okay, so we want this account to appear, we'll click on the plus. And what happens is it inserted a formula. Now you can see it up here in this bar. And the formula is AM account and the account number, and C for the current year. Right, and the benefit of putting the formula in is that at the end of this year we'll save these financial statements. Next year when we're ready to do the following year's accounts, we're going to copy these across again. And when we update the trial balance, the numbers are going to automatically flow through because we've linked them to a formula. For the prior year, we click on the cell that we want, and under the prior year column we click on the plus button, and there it puts the formula in. This time it's got a P at the end. P for prior year, C for current year, P for prior year. Okay, press it. Oh, I've done it twice. Look, when I pressed enter, it was like pressing the plus button again, and it added it in again. Okay, so the formulas can be added. It can be multiple accounts that are put in there. Obviously, I now need to just remove that one. And looks like I need to just press recalc formulas to get the totals to agree. And then our line that's highlighting any problems is telling me it's all good now. Okay, I can click exit. Now obviously I don't need the line that says petty cash because I don't have any petty cash. So what do? I'm going to set a print skip marker. So on that row, I'm going to click set row. And it turns purple. Purple means it won't print. Okay, funds on call, same thing. Set row, it won't print. Sorry, just having a sip of water there. Okay, the remaining lines on this note are not applicable in this particular case. So I can just block those lines, click on set row, and they'll go blue. They won't print. Okay, should we just have a quick look and see what happens if I go into hidden mode at this stage? So I click the reveal mode button, and that will send it through into hidden mode. And you'll see those blue lines will all disappear. And they're gone. All right, let's go back to revealed mode. Okay, so what did we do? We built a node, and we built it with linking formulas. Okay, if we just typed those figures in, it would still have worked, but next year those figures would stay in and they wouldn't be linked. Sorry, something's gone wrong here. Okay, we had a problem with the audio there. Okay, some sound issues. If you know to put up your hand, just if the sound is okay now on your side, just put up your hand for me. Okay, we've got a few people put up their hand. Okay, that seems to be good. Right. Thanks. Okay, let's carry on working through these notes then and see how we can build some other items in here where we need to. Okay, when we get to share capital, here's a classic case where for the authorized share capital, that number does not appear in the trial balance. So you can't link to it. So there's no insert audit mate account formula, lead formula, anything there. There you're going to just have to type the number in. Okay, so you need to look and see, right, we've got 3 X's. Let's make it 1,000 ordinary shares of R1 each. And that would be 1,000. And that would be 1,000. So that number you have to type in. You can't link it to the trial balance. Okay, same with on the issued side of things, unless we have those accounts, a separate shareholders capital account, which is very unlikely that people have that. Again, we can't link them. We have to actually type those numbers in. So we would have to type in how many shares there are, etc. Okay, what's happened here is we have a formula in this note where we've linked. What have we done here? It comes from here. So when you audit these formulas back, we're looking at the lead N000, which would be your share capital lead, and it's picking up, well, what was the share capital that year, and then it's calculating it back. But you can type over these numbers if you need to, just to get those things right. So here we had 1,000 issued shares. If we want to show the details of each shareholder, then we might need to type in 400, 300, 200, 100. And here we're going to need a formula. So let's put it in. Let's auto sum it. Okay, remember the financial statements are Excel. At the end of the day, you can make Excel do what you want it to do. We have tried to create these linking formulas and tried to smooth things so that the numbers come through easier each year. But at the end of the day, it's Excel and you can do what you want. You're responsible for what you do in there. You can change the audit-made formulas, but if you mess them up, that's your responsibility. We'll help you fix them up if you phone us, and we can team view and we can help you sort it out. But you know, you should never be stuck not being able to finalize your accounts because you don't understand a formula, or maybe it's late and you can't get hold of us to help you. You can just type those numbers in yourself if you have to. All right. Okay, and possibly we don't need these details here, so we'll set a print skip marker for those. And we carry on down the notes. Okay, so I've showed you how to link to accounts. We've done linking to leads, and that's how you build your notes going through the financial statements. Now, what happens when you are ready to print, or ready to finalize these and ready to print them? You want to make sure you've got your headings correct, your page breaks correct. So let's deal with some of the finesses of tweaking the financial statements before printing. First thing we do, we go into hidden mode. So click the revealed mode button, and everything should get hidden that needs to be hidden. Then let's go right to the top of the notes page. And the next thing to do is to right click, choose reset all page breaks. Okay, this is normal Excel functionality. This applies when you're printing any other documents as well. Now, reset all page breaks. Excel then works out where should the page breaks come in. And we start running down the page and we'll see there's the first page break. Okay, if it's a dotted line, that means Excel calculated it, and that's where it should go. Now, we might not always agree with where Excel thinks the page breaks should go, and we can then move them to where we want them to go. Okay, there's a rule in moving these page breaks, and the rule is that you only ever move the page break up the page. If you move the page break down, then what Excel will do, it will take that extra text and it will squash it all into the page. So the way it does that is it makes the font smaller, makes the line spaces smaller, and it squashes it all in. And then you end up with financial statements that have got different size fonts, and it looks terrible. So you only ever move your page break up the page. Okay, in this case, we could leave that page break where it is. I actually would just move it up so that we're dealing with the paragraph about depreciation all on the same page. Okay, when we look here, we say, oh dear, we don't have some of these items. Okay, in fact, in this set of financial statements, we don't have any land. Okay, so this line talking about land is irrelevant. I need to hide this. So I can just highlight it. If I click on set row, it's going to make it purple and it will disappear immediately. Okay, if I don't have land, obviously I don't need land is not depreciated either. So same story, highlight it, set row, and it disappears. Okay, I probably should have done this when it was all in reveal mode, when I was working through building these notes, but I can do it at this point as well. It's the point of showing this exercise, is that even when we're in the final printing mode, in hidden mode, we can still hide things and just tweak it to be exactly what we want. Okay, so in this one we don't have buildings, we don't have other, I don't think we had furniture and fittings. So I'll highlight those. I'm holding down the control button and clicking, and I can do a multiple select of different rows. Then if I click on set row, those ones I selected are going to turn purple and disappear. Okay, now as those rows disappeared, Excel would have adjusted the page breaks any further down the page. So we can run down, we can see, right, where's the next page break? Oh, it's in a perfect spot. I'm happy with that. Can carry on. All the time I can also just read the text, make sure that it all makes sense. Because, you know, we prepare these notes in a generic format, but they might not just suit exactly what you're looking for in your financial statements, but then you can edit them. Okay, so if you don't like one of our notes or the wording, you can change that. No problem. I will not be offended. Okay, deferred tax, there's our next page break. Now that page break breaks right across those paragraphs. I'm going to say let's rather move this one up and move it just above deferred tax. Okay, we're going to end up with quite a bit of white space on that page, but I think it's better if we start the paragraph at the top of the page. Okay, this note on share capital in the accounting policies, I don't want this note. Now, what I do not do, okay, because I want to switch off the entire note regarding share capital, I do not go and block it all in blue and make it disappear. What I do, if I want to switch off an entire note, is I go to Layout, Current Sheet, go and find that item, switch it off, click Update, and it will be gone. Okay, the note on revenue. Okay, we have like 6 different paragraphs here because it's a generic thing. It's a generic note. These paragraphs, obviously you're never going to have all 6 of them. It's going to be choose the one that's appropriate to your client and then edit it accordingly. Looks like there's more text in this line than is actually displaying at the moment. Okay, so you can adjust the row height either on the left like that, or there's another way too. You can click on the cell, right click, and choose resize row heights at the bottom, and that will then resize the height of that row according to the text that is in it. It's a very useful thing to know that. Okay, if I don't want these items, set the print skip markers, and I'll just stick with that one. Okay, my page break has moved. I'm going to move this one up. Run down a bit further. Okay, get to property, plant and equipment. I'm going to move this one up. Sure you're getting the idea. Okay. On property, plant and equipment, there's a whole lot of text I don't need. Again, set the rows with a print skip marker and they're gone. Okay. Now, every note, every section has headers, 2015, 2014. Sometimes we need them, sometimes we don't need them. At this particular point, we do need them. But the next note, we don't need it. Okay, now again, we don't set a print skip marker on it. On the left-hand side, we used a function in Excel called group. You have group and ungroup. And you'll find that function, if you're ever looking for it, under the Data tab, Group. And you can group rows together, and then by clicking on the minus sign, it will hide them. So if we don't need these headers here, we go over to this side, we click on the minus sign, and they'll disappear. And it turns to a plus sign. Okay, if we want them back, we click on the plus and they come back. Okay, so we try to make it nice and easy and neat. So minus we don't need. Our print skip markers in a good place. We need that heading. We don't need this heading. So we just unclick it. And we keep on running down the page. Do we need this heading? Let's see. If we switch it off, oh, the whole note doesn't quite fit on. Okay, let's switch that heading back on. Let's move the print skip marker, the page break up the page. Now that note's all going to fit on one page. Okay, it splits over 2 pages. Okay, so we're going to have to just move that up and we'll have it split over 2 pages. Now you might say, but this is it's a very long note. It is a long note. And it would be nice to have this heading appear at the top on the next page with, say, long-term borrowings continued. You can do that. Okay, you have control over these financial statements, over this Excel. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's run down. So right, we need a new line. So let's insert a line here. Maybe let's insert 2 lines. Right. They've come out purple. I'm not sure why they came out purple, but let's highlight them and let's go to the add-in and click remove the print skip marker so that they're not purple. Okay, now we want it to say exactly the same as up here. In fact, we need a header as well. Boy, we need a few more lines. Okay, let's add in a whole bunch of extra rows there. Okay, they're all purple. Let's remove them. Okay, let's run up. And let's now copy and paste. So let's take those items there. Right click, copy, run down, click, and paste. Okay, you'll notice in the term there, long-term borrowings, it's actually a formula. Okay, it's a formula linked to the note, and the number 10, if I go into that cell, you'll see it's also a formula, AM note. Okay, but we just copied and pasted it. It copied it exactly the same. We could maybe now add to this. Okay, if we want to say continued, so we look at this long-term borrowings continued. So there's our formula. Now the formula comes out as text. It's a little Excel lesson. So now we use a thing called ampersand. It's for what's called concatenation, which is joining 2 text strings together. So we would do and double quotes, space, bracket, continued, close the double quotes, enter. All right, now we've got long-term borrowings continued. Okay, now if you didn't know that to do that formula, it's okay. You could have deleted this formula and you could have typed in long-term borrowings continued. All right, no problem with that. Control Z will just undo what I did. Okay, we've got a couple of extra lines, so let's just get, those are lines we inserted ourselves, so we can remove those. So we delete those rows. Okay, or could have put a print skip marker on them, but being that I inserted the lines, I can take them out without causing any damage. Okay, we carry on, run down. We're looking at these headers, remove those headers. There's our page break has come in here. Well, truth is I don't need the text that's underneath here. So I can just set a print skip marker. That's gone. Okay, let's do another print skip marker because there's an extra row there that we don't need. And we carry on down. Okay, so all the time we're moving our page breaks up the page only, trying to just tweak our final financials for what they're going to look like. Okay, I got to a note here, tax payable, note 14. Let's have a look. Click on 14. Okay, we do have something here. Maybe we should build that note, and then we could go in and we can build that note accordingly. Okay, with the text that we want to put into it, making sure it all adds up. Okay, let's carry on through. I just want to basically get to the end of all this. Okay, we need that. Let's pull that up. Okay, I know that there's no figures in these, but I'm just pretend that there are figures there. Okay, because we want to just see how we finalize these financial statements. If they're lines that we don't need, we just block them, set the row, and they're gone. A couple of extra rows, move them off. Okay, this is a long note, but we don't need some of these things for this one. So let's just remove some of them. Research and development. Let's get rid of it. Okay, transactions with members, let's close that up. In fact, let's just get rid of all of these just to make it easier for ourselves to deal with. Okay, there's notes here that we don't, or parts of these notes that we're not going to need. Okay, these okay, within this note, you'll see that suddenly we've gone from, okay, on note 18, we've got 18.1, 18.2. That's because within the note, we have some subnotes. Okay, let's go to layout, current sheet, and let's just run down to where the cash flow is. And you'll see these are indented because these are the subnotes. Okay, so if I don't need these two subnotes here, and I update, 18.2 and 18.3 will now disappear. All right, so I've run through these notes and I've put the page breaks where I think they need to go. So we are now at the point where we're ready to actually print these financials. Now, someone said to me the other day, can't we save a few trees and not actually print it out to go and check it? Is there some other way to look at it before we actually put it onto paper? And yes, of course there is. Okay, and the way we do it, we click on the print button. Now note this is under the add-ins, right? Print, entire document. You can choose which printer to send it to, or we can click on preview. So let's click on preview. And we're going to get a preview of our entire financial statements. And this is where we do the fine checking. Okay, if you can't see it very well, if you click on the magnifying glass, it will become bigger. Right? And then you can use your mouse and you can look and you click on next page to go to the next page. Okay, click on the page again and it's going to become a bit smaller. Okay, so I want to look through this thing and I'm looking now. Do the page numbers tie up? Is the spacing correct? Is the wording correct? This is the final print. So I want to get it right, previewed, before I go and print it to the printer. And if I see things that are wrong, then I need to go and fix them in the body. Okay, so here we've got a general information page which goes over 2 pages. Not very far over 2 pages, only 2 lines. Oh boy, we need to go and fix that. Okay, so we'll close the print preview. We go to that particular page. Okay, let's find it, general information. And we say, right now, how can we fit this all onto one page? And you'll find a way to do it. There are probably lines that you can remove, or there might be lines that you can make a bit smaller. So we might take this line and we might make that line a bit smaller. Even the country of incorporation, there we could make that a bit smaller. And we look at the bottom and see, right now it fits on one page. We're good, we solved the problem. Let's go to print, entire document, and preview again. And let's go to the next page. See, okay, that all fits on. Next page, it's got an auditor's report. Okay, that's spread over a couple of pages. No problem. The CA declaration, compiler's report. Okay, we're into the director's report now. That's okay. Okay, we might say, might be nice to have a little bit of extra space there. Okay, so where we've got directors and secretary, we need a bit more space. Let's close it down. Let's go to the director's report, rundown, directors and secretary. Okay, we need a bit of space. Let's make this row a bit deeper. Okay, so, oh, that didn't help. It put the space in the wrong place. Okay, let's highlight that cell, go to the home, and we tell it to align at the bottom. Okay, then we've got our space at the top. Or we could have inserted another row there. Okay, there's always different ways to deal with these fine-tuning issues. Okay, we got that. Let's go back to our add-in, print, entire document, preview. Down a couple of pages. Okay, director's report. Yeah, I'm happier. That looks a bit better. Carry on to the next page. Okay, now when we get to the balance sheet, income statement things, it's nice to actually have margins in place so we can see where things are. And there's this box here, show margins. And that puts the page margins in place so that we can line basically the last year column up as close as possible to that margin. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's happening here. You'll notice these little lines at the top of the page. These are actually the lines between the columns, or the column widths. So if we want to move that right margin a little bit closer, or that our right-hand column, this last year column, a little bit closer to the edge of the page, then we can tweak one of these. And I would use this one here. If I hold it, and I just drag it across to the right a little bit, you should see it moves across. Okay, if I go too far, that column's going to disappear. Whoops. Okay, let's take it back a little bit. This is a trial and error game. I want to get it as close as we possibly can. All our margins on each page are set the same, so if we can just line them up on the right, then when you're scanning through the actual finished product, it looks nicer because they all line up. Okay, let's move on to the next page. That doesn't look like it's lined up too badly. Next page, that looks okay. We zoom in. We can have a little bit of a closer look. Okay, next page. We could tweak that one a little bit. Let's just move that over slightly. There we go. These are real fine-tuning things that we're doing. Next page. Okay, the notes occupy a little bit less space. Sorry, the accounting policies at the top of the notes, they are set to occupy a bit less space than further down. Now we'll notice as we look at this, oh, hold on, this doesn't look right. This useful life thing, something's gone wrong here. Okay, let's go then back to the notes page and have a look. Let's go back up to the top and see how we've set things. Oh, okay, we need to move that line up a little bit. So let's do that. That should fix it. That will have adjusted things further down. Okay, this one needs to move up a bit again. So we didn't get something right the first time. Let's go have another look. Let's preview this thing again. Okay, it's an iterative process. You keep on doing this. You look, you fix. You look, you fix. Until you've got it all right, and then you print it out. Okay, if I print out, fix, yeah, I end up printing out trees. Right, that's a couple of questions which I'll come to just now. Right, so we look at, okay, it's not, this property, plant, and equipment note, this particular one is very long, okay, so it goes over 2 pages, and on the page 2 it doesn't look that nice that it doesn't have a header, so we could put in a header like we did before. So this will answer one of the questions that's has come through as well. So let's go back to where we are with the useful life. Okay, so useful, this is part of this note, property, plant, and equipment. So I want to put this header, property, plant, and equipment, at the top of this page. So I need a couple of lines, okay, because I need a line for property, plant, equipment, and then a spacing line, and then the text will start. So let's go here and we're going to insert 2 lines. I can do one at a time. So I just right click on it, and you'll notice the normal insert is grayed out. Okay, that's because we're working in our notes and we have these sections. So we had to build a special insert row function into Excel that wouldn't mess up the page numbering. So that insert is missing. You can't click on it. Okay. Further down we've got insert row, and that's the one to use. So we click insert row and it will insert a row. Now Excel, you'll notice this row is a big wide row, because it's just the way that Excel works, is it takes whatever formatting is in the row above and it applies it to the new row that was inserted. So I can set that row height back to what it should be. I can do that just by double clicking there where I've got this the cursor highlighted now. If I double click on that, it will go back to the normal row height. Okay, I want to insert another row. Let me right click on on there, choose insert row. It's going to insert another row. Okay, let's make it small again. Okay, so we've got 2 new rows, but you'll notice these page breaks all came in funny. Okay, we need to just drag the page break that we set up the page. So that's it, drag it back up, and that will sort it out. Okay, now we've got our 2 lines that we want to put the note into, the header for this accounting policy note. So I'll run up there, find that, copy. Okay, so I can right click, copy, or I can hold down Control C, run down to where I want it, click, press enter or Control V. Okay, I think that looks better. Let's put in some numbers here to make it all look better. And let's go back to our print entire document, preview. Okay, we just run through to where we were up to. Okay, that page looks all right. Now next page, that looks better. Okay, next page. Okay, remember I said there would be quite a lot of white space. It's up to you. If you wanted to put part of this note into that white space and split the note, you can do that. As I say, it's totally your call. Next page. Looking good. Okay, now we get to where we've got some numbers and things. Do those columns get close enough to the right margin? I think they're okay. Okay, we've got our headers here, 2015, 2014. I think that page is all right. Next page, we've got a header, 2015, 2014. Okay, we don't have the header on issued capital because it's at the top of the page. Quite a bit of white space here, but that's because we've got this big long note. Now look, our page break's in the wrong place there again. So we're going to have to fix that. Remember I inserted some rows up at the top. That must have messed things up down at the bottom. So we have to go back there. Go down. Okay, I just noticed one other thing there. Ideally, we shouldn't have this line in here. Okay, so what I should do is hide one of the lines. Okay, hide one of these lines that's higher up. Get that in the right place. Okay, there we've got our line. Okay, need to drag that up. We need to go down and just check the others look all right. Let's take a line out here. Looks okay, looks okay, looks okay. Okay, a couple of extra lines here. So we could take, whoops, okay, did you notice that? Okay, it says this section contains, I was trying to set a print skip marker just above where the 2015-2014 headers are. Okay, so it says this section contains the first row of a defined section. Proceeding with this section will hide the section. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so we just click on no, and we must find a different row that we can hide, or we can make smaller. Okay, so let's do the one above that. Okay, and we need to find, well, okay, if we can't find another one, what we can do is always make this row smaller. So we just set the height up to a couple of pixels. We're going to achieve the same result. Okay, run down. We look good. Right, let's print entire document, preview again. Yeah, we've done it about 20 times now. Okay, but you're getting the idea. There are all these little tiny things to sort out before we finally print. Okay. Okay, this was the one. Headings good at the top. Next page, headings are good. Headings are good. Oops, there's something that shouldn't be here. Okay, that line is our line that checks whether there's a problem. So note 13, we have an issue. Okay, let's close that. Another way to get to note 13, click on the balance sheet, then click 13, and we're there straight away. Okay, that particular line should have had a print skip marker on it. So let's put one on it, and it's gone. Okay, I think this might be the last time we do the preview. Okay, we're at note 13. That looks good. Next page, 14. Oops, another problem there. Okay, we need those notes to all squash up. So, okay, I need to fit an extra line in. Okay. Now, we really don't want to split that note over 2 pages for one extra line. So here's another case where we've got to be a little bit creative and find a way to squeeze it in. So let's look at the gaps that are between others. Let's make that line a little bit smaller. Let's make that line a little bit smaller. Let's see if it fits in now. Still not quite there. In fact, I'm not sure that that's going to self-adjust because this is a line that we set. So let's, right, we don't want to squash it all in. Okay, if we look at page layout here, and we go and we click on this little button here, you'll see that the print scaling is 100%. That's what we always want. We want the print scaling to be 100%. Just going to close that. Now I'm going to move this line down. I'm going to move it down 3 lines. Okay. And I'm going to go back and check that print scaling. Okay, it's still 100%. So in other words, that's fitted in. Let's just try making that a bit further down. Now it's adjusted it to 93%. Okay, so in other words, I could move that line down to where I needed it, and the print scaling would stay at 100%. Put it back to 100%. Okay, so it's important that print scaling be 100%. Or 99 is okay. In fact, there's one instance with some printers are very funny. And on 100%, these boxes that we have around figures don't print. Change it to 99% and then they do print. So there's a little thing to remember. Okay, let's go to hopefully the final preview. And page 18 is good. And then we enter the detailed income statement. And yes, we're done. Okay, now you can actually print it. From this page, you could print it. Click on print. Okay, and it will go to the printer. If you're on, if you want to print it to PDF, okay, if you're on version 2010 or 2013, Excel 2010 or 2013, you should see this little button, ePrint Workbook. That's just a very quick way to do it. You click on that button, and there it's printed to PDF, and it appears now in my Acrobat Reader. if you're on 2007, Excel 2007, you can still print it. You can't do it through this little ePrint here, but you would click on the circle button, the top left-hand corner, and you would choose Save As. You would then, from the drop-down, you would choose PDF. Okay. Then you have to remember to go to Options and tell it to print the entire workbook. Otherwise, the default is the active sheet, and that's just one page. So you do the entire workbook, OK, and then you save, and that was the same thing as doing the shortcut on the ePrint workbook. Okay, you just take a breather and just look at some of these questions here. Okay, I have a question about autosave. Sven asked, do we have autosave built into Excel? Excel has its own autosave, all right? If you look under, I think it's one of these options, save. Okay, you can save, auto-recover information every however many minutes you're prepared to lose. All right, so Excel is, in this case on my computer, every 10 minutes, Excel's saving in the background. It's not saving the actual file, all right? If I exit without saving, I will lose all my changes. This auto recover save is Excel saving it in the background. If the power goes off, bang, my computer goes down. Then when I open Excel the next time, I'm going to have, it's going to tell me, oh, there's a file that was auto-saved, do you want to recover it? And the maximum I'd lose would be 10 minutes of work. So Excel has this built in. We don't have any auto-save built into Excel. You need to save it as you go along, okay? So we'll save it at the end of your session. So when you've finished and you close down and ask save, you say yes, okay? Or partway through, you could just click on the save button and save it. It is a good habit to get into, but the auto recover is there. On my own computer, I have a UPS, so if the power goes off, I do have a couple of minutes to save things and close down the computer. So yeah, that's how the saving works. Okay, let me just look at the other questions. Okay. Right, Colin wants to know about, once they've tailored their financial statements, we put out a new template, will the tailored financials still work? Yes, they will. Okay. When you work on a client file, all the work that you do on it is in a client folder. Okay, we don't know what that client folder name is, and we don't touch it in terms of automatically changing anything in that folder, because you're in control of that. The only thing that we're in control of is the templates folders. Okay, let's just go to let's just go back to AuditMate here. I can just see a template folder. Okay, so in terms of the structure of the AuditMate, okay, we have an AuditMate file folder, and in that folder you have your clients folders, and there would be all your clients. There's also a templates folder, and in the templates folder is where we put all the templates, and we name them as those particular things. When you run the updater and it's going to download a new template, it's going to be called one of these names. And it's going to update all the files that are inside that folder. And those are the only ones that we update. Okay, so you run the updater, it updates that folder. Nothing in there affects any of your folders that are under your clients or under your masters. If you've gone the route of creating a masters folder, copying our templates in and customizing them, as we suggested in one of the earlier webinars, those also don't get affected when we do the updates. It's only these template folders that get affected. And what we're doing now for the 2015 templates is at the top, document A000, we've now included a document which tells you all the changes that we've made to the templates in the latest update. So when we updated to version 2015-02, these were the changes that we made. When we then updated to 2015-03, these are additional changes that we made. Now, by reading these changes, you will then know, if you started off your master with our 2015-001, you will know what changes we made, and you can go and make those changes yourself, or you might just want to copy across the files that those changes were made in. So if it's the AFS, you say, okay, A100, the AFS.xls, I'll copy that from the updated template folder into the master folder, and then I'll have to add my letterhead again. Okay, so that's the way that that works. Hopefully that explains that, Colin. Right, let's look at other questions. Okay, Letitia wants to know, is a PDF workaround in one of the help modules? I'm not sure. There is a help module here on Print to PDF Creator. Now that was really for Excel 2000 users, or Excel 2007 could also use that. Looks like we need to update. Looks like we need to update one of those help modules. I'll make a note of that. All right. Okay, no more questions. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at our AFS. Okay, we have now got these AFS to the finalization stage. So we've dealt with preparing your financial statements in AuditMate. But let's just have a look through some of the menu items up at the top here in the add-in, because we've got a bit of time still left, and just see what these things do. So under layout, we've got annual financial statements, which we've dealt with. That's where you switch off on or off the whole page. We've got the current sheet. When you're in the notes, you switch off those paragraphs. In fact, that also works now. Let's go and have a look. In the audit report, for example, okay, we have layout current sheet, and we've added sections into the audit report. So this is all ticked now as if it were an unqualified audit report, and we're including these other paragraphs on other matters, supplementary schedules, other reports required by the Companies Act, and this report on other legal. Now, if it was okay, let's update. It will all stay the same, and you see the different paragraphs that we've got. Okay, so if we don't need that paragraph at the bottom here, report on other legal and regulatory requirements, we would go to layout, current sheet, untick, update, and it's gone. Okay, if we had a qualified audit report, layout, current sheet, okay, we would then tick qualified on, unqualified off. Update. And then the paragraphs are going to change. In fact, it adds 2 new paragraphs, basis for qualified opinion and the qualified opinion. You would then go and edit this and put in the details that you need to put in. So we use that layout current sheet on different pages as well. Okay, so it works on the auditor's report and on the reviewer's report as well. Okay, there's a section here on wording. We don't actually use this anymore. This is here historically. We used to have formulas that we used inside the body of the financials that we could then change from like company to closed corporation, etc. But we don't use that anymore. So that's going to be removed at some stage in the future. If we go to watermark, okay, now this is quite useful because watermark enables us to put a draft watermark on every page or on selected pages of the financial statements. Okay, so you just click on Layout Watermark, and then you choose where you want to apply it. So let's apply it to all pages. So I'll click on this button. Now you don't see it on the page. Okay, that's the way that Excel deals with watermarks. But if I print it, so entire document preview, I should end up with a draft watermark on each page. Right. Now we did the draft watermark so you can still read the text, but the watermark goes right over it. So look at it nice and close. You know, no one's going to be able to rub out that draft watermark and not rub out the text. Okay, how do we get rid of it? Layout, watermark, remove all, and it will be gone. Okay, so that's where our draft comes in. And don't worry about the date timestamp. I don't know where we use that. Okay, let's see if there's anything on here we need to know about. Okay, yeah, useful if we're on the index page. Let's go to the index. Occasionally you might find, hey, these page numbers don't tie up for some reason. You can always click on Change, Recalculate Page Numbers. Okay, and that will just run through and recalculate those page numbers as to what they should be. If they're still not right, then it means there's something else wrong. And it usually is related to page breaks. So you just establish now which page or which report, which tab is the page break or the page numbering incorrect on. Go to that one. So let's say it was on the auditor's report. You go to the auditor's report. Okay. And you would then just right click, choose reset all page breaks, come back to the index, do a recalculate on the page numbers again, and it will probably be sorted out. Okay, there's our regenerate. That's the same button as printing, clicking on the regenerate button on the toolbar. All right. Oh, I see something went wrong here. Look, the registration number suddenly disappeared. Strange things. Okay, if something like this happens, the formula's there. Just try clicking recalc formulas. If that doesn't work, click on, go to revealed mode. And then go back to hidden mode. Excel certainly does some strange things sometimes. All right. Okay, these insert formulas, we looked at inserting links to accounts and leads. Those are very similar. We can also use these in any other spreadsheets that we create as well. So they're just a useful thing to look through this insert menu. But like insert company information, whatever cell you choose, if you click on this, for example, it will put in a formula that will bring in the company name. All right. Or the registration number. And it just creates formulas to do that. And you can use those formulas in any spreadsheet that that you want to create or in your financial statements. So that's just quite a useful thing to know about. Um, all right, I think that we really have dealt with preparing the financials. What I'm going to do next week is we're going to have a free webinar next week, and it's going to be a questions and answers. So I'm not sure what day we're going to hold it on. I think we might change it from the Thursday. But we're going to have a free webinar, and you just bring your questions along, and you can type them into the questions box, or you can email them to me beforehand, and then we'll just sit here and we'll spend an hour and a half just answering questions. So anything that you've got, I'm going to advertise that to everybody, and yeah, so we can work through any issues that you've got, and that will then make that available to everyone as well. All right, things have gone a little quicker today, and I'm not seeing any more questions. So I'm just going to close this down. Just want to make sure we've covered everything on the helpmate. Not sure if we looked at it last year, but I mean last week, but we have this error checks. Okay, error checks is a good thing to run, and just make sure that there are no errors. This will pick up things if an account's been allocated to a lead that doesn't exist or something like that. Okay, so you might have allocated the accounts and then you might have deleted the lead for some reason. So that's quite a useful thing. We've dealt with the on the reporting. Under the reporting, there is a report here that will report your groupings, so that's quite useful. It will actually show you how accounts are grouped together. So if we look at, remember we took the repairs and maintenance, and okay, so if we look at in this item here, right, that will just show you how this was all grouped together. No, that's not the right one. Just further down. It was this one, repairs and maintenance here. Okay, Tony has a question. How can I check which template I'm using? Right, Tony, the very first line on the index will tell you finalization, if it's for SME audit 2015-03 or 2014, 2013, 2011, whatever. But that's where you check which template you're using. All right. Doesn't look like anyone's got anything else to ask. All right, again, our lines are open. Phone us, email us, got any queries, questions, want to know how to do anything, and then we'll have that webinar next week as well. So we'll then, I've got a list of things that I'll be showing when we do the questions and answers, because of the sort of questions that I've been asked during the week and over the last few weeks. Those are all fresh in our mind. We'll look at the one question I had today was the person started a new job. They'd used the audit template and then found out it was going to be a review after they prepared the financials. How do they now change to the review template? So we'll show you how to do that. It's not too difficult. Yes, another question here. Will there be training on the audit section? Yes, we'll do some audit training as well. Not next week, maybe the following week or the week after that. We'll start looking at the auditing. The auditing, actually, we'll need, I think we'll need a few weeks to really go through that slowly and carefully from planning the audit right through to recording the work that you do, and then a section also on how we do the review electronically on the system. There are a couple of things that I'm wanting to change on the program in that respect. So I've got those changes through. It's a little tweak here and there. Then I think we'll show that on with some training as well. Yep. So I'm going to stop the recording.